the kids came out. That's why the papers are always
Getting
getting revised. So it took us 23 years to get here. And we already had a life in the Philippines.
Sure.
If you were to ask me, I don't want to live my life there
course.
because I'm already made. So having my own children, these values came very natural. Like you said, giving might make us feel empty. It's the other way around. So giving would actually fill our hearts with satisfaction that we are able to fulfill the purpose of why we are created. Because it boils down to the very reason why I'm here is because of my big God. I always call him my big God. I don't prevent you from from calling him God, but he's my big God, and he's always been my partner. So the people that I mentioned earlier, my grandma, my papa, my mama, my aunt, are instruments of God's love for me. So God sent them to actually fulfill the love that he actually and the life that he planned for me. So everything is happening according to his plan. I plan, but sometimes it doesn't happen, so I just let it be because I know he has a better plan. He has a bigger plan, actually. So raising the kids, I always tell them, I look back to how Lola Nene, my mom, raised me, take the pieces that I appreciate are significant and take out the ones that I don't think would make sense. Because sometimes parents are not perfect. We are walking with our children and we are growing up with them, especially me and my husband. I got married, I was 24, he was 25, so we were basically kids. So we grew up with our kids. So every step of the way we're learning. We're raising them, but we learn things from how we raise them. And the very key for us to be able to raise them the way they are now, I'm actually blessed that I would say I was able to raise them the way God wanted me to, is actually just praying about every single step of the way. And you know, when they get hurt, when they were little, they would always pray. It's not, Mommy, take me to the hospital. No, they would always pray. So up to now, whatever happens to us, if we're in a difficult situation, we pray. If we are happy, we pray and thank him. If we're hurt, we pray. Because we know that there's always a God who would always be there for us.
Faith is a huge thing.
Yes.
Especially being grounded in it.
Yes.
And the growth that you guys are going through with your children at the same time. Obviously, your family is growing as well. You have seems like a lot of big family.
Yes.
It's a big. So you can make your own community if you really wanted to.
When we got married, the guest list is just family, and it's like 250.
Yo, that sounds like an exciting day
for both sides.
But I think that's what kind of brings families together. That kind of special, the special kind of connection that you have, and so you know, I guess the question I have here is kind of growing into the 20s, in the 20, you know, obviously meeting your husband. Was he kind of like the same, like super family oriented? That's the type of lifestyle that his family comes from as well?
So my husband is not my boyfriend. He's my friend. I considered him my best friend at work. I met him in my first job in AT&T Philippines.
Hey.
So he's very good. He designed those. He was part of the design team for the cell sites of the cellular phones in the Philippines, analog during the time. It was 1992, and I was the executive assistant of his boss, the operations manager, who was an American expatriate, and then he deputized me to manage his team, which is the team that my husband is part of. So my husband is my best friend. And like I told you earlier, I never had close friends. I just had two best friends. So he became my best friend at work. And then when things got rough, because I was far from my parents, and my aunt, who took care of my kids, was still overseas that time because she was an expatriate. So we were living with another sibling of my mom. Sometimes things are not smooth.
Sure.
So my husband has been there for me all this time. And then, you know, time would develop and it would just make things more more clear.
Sure.
So we just decided to that we would be more than that because we can take care of each other and So and my papa would always like him to be the one taking care of me because he's always there. So when he told my papa that we were getting married, my papa just said, "Oh, sure, good," so that someone would take care of her in the city. Yeah. So when we got married, I was 24, he was 25, and then we gave birth. I gave birth to Julia, 1995. We were like playing house because we were kids. That's why my aunt came home, and then she navigated.
She's like, look, we need to fix this up here. You guys need to. What type of operation are we running here, guys?
Yeah, but it was so fun because we would take Julia out, we would go to the mall, and we were like, we're just like playing, having fun. But when the time came that education would come up and all these other expenses, and we decided to buy a house after a year of getting married. So I was 20. More than a year. So I was turning 26 then, so we got the house. And so we were paying mortgage, we were paying for diapers, for milk, and for everything else. And my kids had one nanny each because even if my aunt was there to supervise, the nannies would be the ones doing the dirty work, stuff like that. So all these expenses. So I forgot about my coordinated shoes, belt, and purses.
Yep.
I stopped buying them.
Sacrificing.
And I bought cans of milk instead and diapers. And my husband forget about his other hiking stuff and just focus on work and make money and bring food on the table. So we actually matured sooner than you guys.
Sure.
We were like, I was 25, I was already thinking about these things, and my husband was already thinking about so many things, mortgage and everything. That's why I got into businesses. He also got into his own thing. He's an electronics and a communications engineer, but he ended up in film because when he was pursuing me, I was in advertising.
Oh, okay.
Because I was supposed to take up law, right? But the political science closed during the time. So I took up communication arts.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit sidetracked. And I loved advertising. I loved theater and everything else. So I forgot the law. So when my husband was pursuing me, he got into film. So he was a very good sound engineer in the Philippines, and he got awards when we were back there.
Wow.
So that's his field. And me, I'm doing so many things because I believe that God has given us vast potentials. It's all up to us to cultivate each one of them. So, and I believe that life is too short. So I always seize the moment. I always, when I think of something, I do it.
Right.
Like, I won't just think, oh, I might be able to do it. No, I do it right away. So
you tried to take the best, you wanted to take the most out of your life as possible.
Yes.
And it feels like you are. Like one of the things that's interesting with your timeline here is that like you grew up in a fairly big town, but you moved to the city, which is something that's like obviously as technology is becoming so big, right? And this is in the 94s, 90s,
92.
Right? 92, right? This is right before, it seems like your aunt submitted the application to come to America.
Yeah. Actually, I moved to the city in 1988 when I graduated high school. Okay. 92 is when I graduated my bachelor's. And then we moved here 2016.
So what was the thought of like, okay, you literally probably just got married, right? But who submitted the application to come to America?
Oh, my husband's mom.
So what was the thought process behind that? Like, maybe we should transition to the States.
So my husband lost his dad when he was 9 years old. So my mother-in-law migrated in 1990, I think 1992. So if you're a mom, I feel her. If you're a mom, you would want your children to be with you. That's why.
Huge.
So that's why she decided to submit the application for them to come over. But my husband has a +2, and that's me. So I was a +2, and then the kids came out. That's why the papers are always getting revised. So it took us 23 years to get here. And we already had a life in the Philippines.
Sure.
If you were to ask me, I don't want to live my life there because I'm already made. So all the effort, all the hard work, it's not a walk in the park.
No.
I always tell Julia, success would no longer be an overnight thing. You have to work hard for it. If you want something, you work hard for it and you would get it because God is always there to guide you. But you have to work hard for it because it would not just be given to you in a silver platter.